Hi everyone, welcome to RBI Grade B. In this particular lecture, we are going to talk about how we can write the effective Precis for the NABARD Grade A examination and the RBI Grade B examinations. You see, in these examinations, basically in phase 2, descriptive English holds a very important chunk, and in that too, the question regarding Precis has always been asked. You will be given a passage and you will be required to write a Precis regarding that passage. So what is Precis, how is it written, and what are the things that are needed to be considered while writing a Precis? Everything will be discussed in this video. So without wasting much of your time, let's get into the contents. So for the basics, we need to understand what is Precis. Precis is basically your abstract or the crux or the gist of the passage. You will be given a passage in your examination and you are required to write a Precis out of it. So what does it mean? An abstract or the crux or the gist. So you are required to write an abstract or the gist of the passage, that what the passage is basically saying. You need to deduce, you need to decipher that passage in your own language while writing a Precis. So remember, while writing the Precis, you have to write everything in your own language and do not copy and paste anything from the passage given. That is the basic thing that you need to remember. Second thing is, for the Precis, the word limit, the actual word limit which is required to be written is always less. Since you are writing the gist of the passage, since you are writing the abstract of the passage, definitely you won't be needing much words, but you are just simplifying the passage in a shorter word limit. So usually in the examination the word limit is basically given, but if it is not given, it is a prerequisite that whenever you are writing a Precis, you have to write about 1/3 of the word limit of the actual passage. For example, let's say the passage is having 600 words. So if you are writing a Precis, you have to write 1/3 of 600 words, that is 200 words. So you have to write down a Precis of 200 words for a 600 word passage. Remember this. Secondly, I wanted to discuss that why these kind of questions are asked in the examination, why the Precis is included. Suppose you are working in an organization, let's say you are working at NABARD, and you receive a certain kind of information in the form of a paragraph or a passage which is very important for you to decipher or to understand. If you are not able to decipher or understand what is given in the information which you received, definitely you will not be very much efficient for the organization. So in order to test your abilities, whether you can comprehend the passage which is given to you, whether you can understand what is given to you, and whether you can get the gist or the abstract of that in a shorter word limit, definitely this is why NABARD or RBI is asking Precis to you in order to evaluate your understanding capabilities. So this is the reason why Precis is basically included in your curriculum or in your actual examination. So remember this, Precis is nothing but it's basically an idea that you basically get from a passage and reduce it in your own word limits, in your own language, so that the examiner will be able to understand that yes, the student or the candidate knows that this is the thing that is basically explained in the passage. So there are a few things while writing a Precis. The first thing that you need to remember is never, I already discussed this, never copy and paste anything, not even a data, from a passage, given passage. Okay, you are not supposed to write the exact language of the passage. Even if you are writing a data, let's say, even if you are writing something which is relevant to the passage, you have to frame it in your own words. You don't have to just simply copy and paste that exact line from the passage. The marks will be heavily deducted if you do that. Second thing, always whenever there is a question regarding Precis, the first question is regarding the title of the passage. Title of the passage, and most of the aspirants are so much into writing the Precis that they forget about the title of the passage, and title holds a very good chunk of marks. So never forget to write the title of a given passage. How can you decipher, how can you decide what should be the title of the passage? By reading it, by understanding it. Reading habits is a must. Reading habit is a must for you to basically understand what is given in the passage. So I always recommend that you should try to read the editorial sections as much as you can from any newspaper that you follow, in order to understand the gist of the editorial, what is it trying to say, and obviously the heading, the title of that particular editorial will give you an idea that yes, the editor was thinking that this was the basic idea of the editorial section and this must be the heading. That's why the title is needed to be decided on the basis of perfect deducing abilities or understanding abilities of a candidate. That is why reading habits are very much essential. So never forget to write the title of a given passage, because it's very important. And if you don't write the title, if it is not asked in the question, then definitely you can skip it. But always the question asks about the given title. You have to give a suitable title to a passage, and that is what you need to do. Third thing, let me raise this. The third thing that you need to understand is that you must be writing everything in your own language, that I already told. But suppose there is a data or a fact given in the actual passage. So whenever you are writing that kind of data or fact which you think will eventually be contributing to a constructive précis, you must add it, but only in your language. For example, let's say a passage consider that the forest area of a particular location, it decreased from 75% to let's say 50%. So even if you don't want to mention this kind of data in your actual précis, you can skip it. There is no hard and fast rule that if any data is given in your actual passage, you have to include that kind of data in your précis also. No, there is no such kind of rule. You can give a general gist that yes, the forest area, because of certain situations, it decreased significantly. That is it. That will also give a general idea that yes, the forest area is decreasing. So it is a kind of an abstract or a gist which is required in your actual précis. So even if you skip a particular data, that is completely fine. Don't take it otherwise. Don't take it as don't consider to compulsorily put any kind of data. This is not at all essential. Remember this. And the fourth thing that I wanted to say is that whenever you are writing a précis, in a précis, the data and facts are already done. There is no need for this. In a précis, you don't have to follow the similar sequence which is followed in the actual passage. Okay. For example, let's say in the passage, first of all, an introduction kind of thing is given that somebody has introduced with let's say a quote, or let's say some kind of a situation has already been given, and after that the thing has been explained. You are not required to always follow the same sequence in which the passage is given to you. Okay. Let me give you a very simple example here. Let me raise this. For example, let's say there is a passage given to you in the actual examination. First of all, the passage says that around 95% of the countries are facing economic crisis, and this economic crisis is contributing to the major economic losses in certain countries, for example A, B, C, D countries. Next thing is, it is explaining that why these economic losses are happening, why the economic growth is deteriorating, and at last it asks a certain question that what is needed to be done here. For example, this is the passage which is given to you, but in the actual passage which you are going to write in the actual précis, you don't need to follow this sequence. For example, let's say the things are basically given here, and after that the conclusion has been given, and after that the question has been asked. You don't need to follow the similar kind of sequence that is given in the passage here. You can write it in your own language that yes, there are certain reasons which are prevailing in economies. Various economies are seeing this and that reasons, and that is why there has been a growth decline, economic growth decline in various countries, including the countries given here. And obviously these questions are basically quotational. Usually the author puts them to make the passage more interesting, but while you are writing a précis, don't put such kind of questions. You don't need to add such kind of questions in the actual précis. What is needed to be done here? For example, in any passage you might find some of the interesting questions. How can this be done, or what is the profit of this? For example, any kind of these questions, if there are in the passage, you are not required to kind of copy and paste, or in your own language put that kind of question in your précis also. Okay, That is the thing that you need to remember. So all these things are very much important, because Precis is the general gist. It's not the actual thing, because actual thing is already given to you in the passage. Then what is the point of writing the Precis? Precis is giving you the abstract idea, the crux of the given passage, or the idea of the given passage, that yes, this is the passage is passage is basically talking about, and this is the suitable title for this passage, and the general idea according to your own language is this. So these are the things that you need to remember. Do's and don'ts are, I have already discussed. Never copy and paste anything, never write the data in an exact form. Even if you want to write the data, you have to write it in your own language, but remember that there is not a compulsion that you must write the data that is given in the passage. Just a general gist is enough, and you don't always have to follow the sequence, the same sequence in which the passage is actually given to you. You can follow any of the sequence, but remember that that kind of sequence which you are following, it must make sense. If it is not making sense, if it is just here and there, then it is not a Precis. Precis is all about simplifying things. Precis is all about simplifying the passage. If you are not able to simplify the given passage, then it is not an effective Precis, and you will get heavily deducted from the actual marks. So these are the things that you need to consider. If you have any doubts regarding anything here, you can definitely ask us. You have all our contacts and all our email IDs. You can definitely ask us, and we will be happy to answer all your queries. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we hope that you are getting the points which are discussed in these kind of videos, because at the end of the day, what is important is that how effectively are you able to write a certain Precis, or the certain letters, or the certain essays, because writing effectively will eventually also help you in the actual organization in which you are working on. So that is what is required from the examination also, and from you also. So keep all these things in mind and keep preparing for the examination. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful day.